Do you struggle with home cooking? If you do, today's episode of the 360 Leadership Podcast is for you. I'm delighted to welcome the fantastic Sarah Butler, who is a home cook extraordinaire and Instagram sensation. She has been seen all over the place, including television, and is here today to share her secrets on what it takes to become a home cook and why home cooking is so important. Sarah, you are very welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my God, of course. And Sarah was actually, I was just looking before we come on air, Sarah was one of the very first guests I ever had on this show back in 2022. It was back in April 2022.
Was it? Okay, I was
3
thinking
years
this
ago.
morning. Wow.
Yeah, 3 years ago, Sarah was one of my very first guests on the show, and the show has grown so much since then, and so have you. So let us know a little bit about what you've been up to and, you know, who you are and what you do for anyone who doesn't know of you.
Yeah, okay. So I am Sarah, and I suppose my food journey was always there because I came from a very foodie background, as in my father was a butcher. I grew up in a bed and breakfast. Both my parents were always cooking and baking. My grandparents were great bakers and cooks. So at home it was always there. But I didn't pursue it as a career. I actually went down the path of design. So I did a degree in graphic design and digital media, and I worked in that for about 19 years, specializing as it went. It developed from, signage, vehicle graphics, window graphics, big stuff, banners. As the kids came along, I kind of veered into wedding stationery because it was a little bit less physical and something you could do from home a bit more. And that was going great, winning lots of awards, and loved it, really loved it. Worked with family life. And then COVID came and the weddings were cancelled. So I had no work, basically, and I am a worker. I always loved my work. So I found it very difficult to have nothing to do and not to know, I have all this free time and I'm not one to sit idle. I always cooked. I always thought everyone knew how to cook. I just thought, I don't know, everybody knew that. Did everybody not know that? So I suppose I think I made a lemon meringue pie one day, and I had just put a picture of it up on my wedding stationery page, and everybody been at home in lockdown asked, how did you make it? So that was my very first video back in 2019, 20. Yeah, 20, it was lockdown. So it just kind of went from there, sharing my kind of daily tips. Here's what I made for dinner. Here's how I made it. People asked questions. Then brands began to get on board to work with me. And that was great because obviously it was an income that I didn't have because the weddings did. And even when it did come back, weddings were limited to 50 guests. And that's 25 invitations over what would have been 250 invitations. So you do the math. And the same work is involved. You still had to design it, artwork, print it, crop it, cut it, the lot. So yeah, it just kind of snowballed. And then the following had asked me, would I put my recipes in a book? So I did, and having the graphic degree behind me, I was able to do it all myself. I did all the food photography, the design, the layout, everything, self-published, the lot.
Wow, I have your book. I didn't know you did all the design. If anyone doesn't have, I have your first book. I think, do you have two books?
I have 4, yeah.
4 books. Oh my God, I have your first book, and it's like beautiful. It's like, it's got like that blue, reminds me of like Ainsley or something like that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's very me. So obviously I had a professional photographer to do the cover, but everything else is my own work. So yeah, then the 4th book, as I said, they are all very similar, but a little different as well. And then I got asked to cook on TV. So I'm a regular cook with RT Today show, which I absolutely love. That's so much fun, and I'm a little bit of a thrill seeker. I love live, I love risk, I love speed, so I love that. So that's kind of now my job, is working with cool brands.
To go from graphic design into doing something that you grew up with, and now it is your career.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. Like, I grew up, my mom was a baker as well. My parents had a coffee shop, so I always knew how to cook as well.
Yeah.
A bit of a step back, I'm not going to lie, because it gets busy. So that's why you're here today, to help us mummies we're here now, we're at back to school season. What are some things that you have so that, we all want to give our kids nutritious lunches, and it's getting very difficult. What are your tips for school lunches? Let's just start there.
Okay, so I call myself a granny cook. I'm very old fashioned, very old school. I'm not into fads or anything like that. I have kids myself. I am not a trained cook, so I know the struggle. So in this house, and I think everyone else's house is probably the same, kids are constantly hungry, constantly opening the fridge. So what I do is I will make a load of brown bread. I think brown bread is the best thing in the world because it's so filling. It's something that they can work away at themselves. You know, I just had my breakfast was brown bread and cheese. So a load of brown bread, you get that in the oven in jig time, and I'll freeze a few loaves so I have them for throughout the week. I'll just take them out the night before. And that's literally on the island all the time. I don't buy biscuits. I don't buy crisps. I don't buy fizzy drinks. I don't buy sugary treats. I make them. And it's good for the kids to see them being made and help and see the amount of sugar. Every time we make brownies, the kids are like, oh my God, that's so much sugar, Mom. I'm like, yeah, and that's okay, but just have one. Whereas if you bought a packet, you'd eat the whole packet. I had to stop buying crisps and biscuits because I just ate them all. And immediately, you know yourself, it goes to your belly and you start getting spots. Anyways, it's going off the point. So home baked goods like brown bread is great. For school lunch boxes, sausage rolls are great. I know my little guy loves them. So I'll make a batch of them, freeze them raw, uncooked, and then throw them in the oven the night before. So you have them.
Oh, do you make your own pastry, or like can we cheat and get?
Oh gosh, yeah, puff pastry. No one has the time for that. A short crust is a little bit easier. That's, you know, the puff, you have layers of butter and pastry and all that. So yeah, absolutely, you can cheat. It's just as good. So, you know, just make a load. And I always say make a load while you're at it. Make 4 loaves of brown bread. Make 3 batches of sausage rolls. Pizza bagels are another one. So you make this hidden veggie sauce. This is probably my most popular recipe for parents, especially with fussy eaters. So you oven roast a load of veg like onions and garlic and tomatoes and peppers, aubergines and whatever, and get it nice and soft, and then you blend it so there's no vegetables to be seen. You can use that as a pizza base for these little pizza bagels if you get the little slims, and then add your cheese and your toppings, get the kids to help you. Pop them in the freezer and they can then pop them in the oven or the air fryer themselves. School lunch boxes, my top tip, and that's one that everybody loves, is the apple, how to stop the apple going brown if your kids won't eat it whole. So you can peel your apple and chop it up and then just pop it into a bowl with maybe half a teaspoon of salt. And let that sit there for 3 or 4 minutes, and then rinse the apple, dry it, and it won't go brown. So that has been...
You put it with water and salt, or you just put it in with salt?
In with water. So you make a little salt bath for it and leave it in there for a few minutes, and then rinse it with fresh water and dry it well. And it will not brown. It will still come home uneaten if it's like any other child. As I say, oh, we're taking the apple to school today, and then it's going to come back home to me. But yeah, we try our best.
We're taking the mammy box that we're trying our best.
Yeah, it's hard.
If they choose not to eat it, there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, and what I do is, in this house, I started when they were small, and it's great, but it can be a pain in the ass. I make homemade pancakes every single morning for them. So
what?
They go to school every morning. I can do it in my sleep now. My kids actually do it now. They know the mix. And I'll also make it up the night before. So in there, I've got flour, eggs, goat's yogurt, or you can use natural yogurt, and buttermilk. There's no sugar. I throw a handful of oats in there, and they'll have 3 of them every morning with fruit. Tom has his with banana. Grace will have it with berries. They might have a little bit of Nutella or honey on it. That's fine. But at least they're going in and they're full, and they're not eating a bowl of sugary cereal, and they're getting a bit of fruit, and they'll have a glass of milk with that as well. So I don't really mind if they don't eat their lunchbox, because they're coming home then to a nice dinner.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. So we have the apple tip. I love that. We have the pancake tip, which is just the oats. And like, you know what? I think sometimes people think like it takes so long to do these things, but really it doesn't. Like, tell us about like timing, because I know my audience are really busy and they're like, I'm not going to have time to do all of this.
Yeah, I get that.
Time saving hacks that you have. I know you mentioned batching. What else? What other time savers have
the batch cooking is great. Well, as I said, in my 4th book, which is called Batch Cooking, because I just saw the struggle that people had, and basically every recipe is is something that can be batch cooked. And also every recipe shows you how in 10 minutes the night before you can prepare for this recipe, whether it be just chop up the veg and have it in a bowl in the fridge, or prepare the meat or whatever. So for example, with the pancakes, I just make that mix up before I go to bed. It takes me 2 minutes. There's no mess. Everything's just thrown into one big jug, mixed with a fork and thrown in the fridge. If you want to get up a little early, I get up at 6:30 every morning. I probably could get away with getting up at 7:15, but that extra 45 minutes, it gives me time to myself to just wake up and think about the day. And I suppose it gives me a chance to get the kids' stuff organised. But yeah, do a little bit of 10 minutes the night before. I know there's no magic tricks to it. You just have to put the time in. And I do find the night before.
I love that you say that as well. I think one of the biggest things about, well, I know for me when it comes to cooking, like I only batch cook pretty much because it's the cleanup afterwards. It's not the cooking. And I'm lucky I have my husband. I'm the cook and he does the cleaning. So that's like suits me down to the ground. But the likes of the pancakes, they sound complicated, but actually if it's just a jug, like that is nothing. That's the same as scrambled eggs.
Yeah. 3 spoons of sugar, or three spoons of flour, and I have all my flour and tea bags and cereals in containers. And I think that's another thing as well, just to get a little bit organized. I have my press. I don't have a fancy pantry with fancy labeled jars. I have a press. I adjusted the shelf height so that when I got my jars, I have these plastic jars. They're that size for like cereal and flour. Then they're a little bit smaller for sugar and tea bags. And then I've got small ones for like bread soda and stuff. So when I open my press, I love it. It's my favorite thing. Like most women love to go and look in their wardrobe. I go and calm myself down by looking in my press because I can see everything. Even going on a food shop, I can open it and go, okay, I need tea bags, I need cereal, because I can see. But if you had, say, that flour in the back of a press, bagged up, and I don't know how long it's been there, so that's really important as well. And again, in batch cooking, I teach how to do your food shop, come home, take everything out of the plastic, wash it, get it into your fridge. It's a pain in the arse, but you will just spend the week going, oh my God, thank God I did that. That was just saved me so much time. Because you can open your fridge and you can go, okay, lunch, quick sandwich, the salad is washed, the tomatoes are washed. Oh, I forgot I have a cucumber because I can see it. It's not hidden behind something else in the fridge. So I think that is probably the fundamental thing to get organized, is to have your produce, your dry goods, your cupboard essentials, your fridge, have all of that sorted and organized. Even for the kids, like when my kids open the fridge, I'll have like a big bowl of washed grapes there. I'm like, let's just throw that where they can exactly see it before they go rooting for the cooking chocolate, which is literally the only chocolate I'll have because they'll eat the whole thing. Yeah.
And Claire, why do you think, like, there's so much talk right now, obviously I'm sure Sophie Morris, the nutritionist as well, and she's doing a lot of exposés on, what we're buying in supermarkets. Why do you think home cooked food is so important for like physical and emotional health as well?
Well, I mean, it's been proven how beneficial it is to our mental health, what we eat. And I think we can all, as parents, relate to that with kids who have had a bag of Skittles. You know how that affects them. They're bouncing off the walls. So we know that food affects our mood because it's linked to our gut. So it's all back down to your gut health. So if you're eating stuff that's good for you and it's home cooked and whole food, your gut is happy, and then that sends signals to your brain. Again, I'm not in any way qualified. It's just from my own interest and doing my own research and knowing myself. People say to me, where do you get the energy? It's diet. It's all diet. So for kids, I think that's really important to be satiated in your appetite. I don't eat a lot because I'm not hungry, because I'm not eating food that makes me crave more food. It's as simple as that.
Like you must get a lot of that on Instagram, do you, Sarah? Like I think I remember you a long time ago putting up a post or something where people were saying to you like, oh, like, how can you eat all of that and be healthy? Like you're using butter and all this kind of stuff. Like that must be hard to deal with that kind of criticism.
Well, you're always going to have that. And I suppose what I would say to people like that, knowledge is power. So always kind of get to know your facts before you judge something. I am known as the butter and full fat. I'm a brand ambassador for Connacht Gold Milk and Dairy.
I love Connacht Gold. It's the best.
I will only use block butter and everything in moderation. And yeah, people say, oh gosh, do you eat your food at all? Of course I do, but I eat it slowly. I eat the correct portion of it. I don't eat cake every day. Where I use butter and cream in recipes, yes, but I don't have buttery cream recipes every day. That's my takeaway, is the buttery creamy pasta dish. And obviously, as you get older, there's so much out there. People are bombarded with eat this, don't eat that. This is healthy. Actually, no, it's not healthy. Full fat block butter, of course, is going to be okay for a 42-year-old woman whose cholesterol is perfect because my stress levels are low. I exercise. My mental health is good. Everything, all the other boxes have been ticked. But I'm not sitting eating a block of butter. An 85-year-old man or woman, obviously their cholesterol is going to be different to mine. So you have to adapt as you age. The menopause changes all those hormone levels. So it's not as simple as black and white. What I can eat, somebody else may not be able to have good health with. So, you kind of have to have a little bit of common sense.
I think what you do is so good. That's why I love following you, actually, because like you said, you're a granny cook. You go back to basics. And if you think about, like, I always think, like, God provided us with the earth, the food that's there, and the less ingredients in something, the less preservatives, obviously it's going to be better for your health. So while eating full fat butter, we may have been brainwashed by marketing to think that that's a bad thing. Actually, it's far better than eating, having a Diet Coke or, something that you've been told is healthy, because it's pure and it's natural and your body is designed to break it down, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. And, it is high in fats, whatever. But then you've got butters that have oils in them that aren't great for us either. So, it's everything in moderation. And I suppose is a really good for anyone who is interested in food and how it affects you. Look up Michael Pollan. He is I would listen to his podcasts all day. He's a scientist. He writes about food. He talks about, in layman's terms, sometimes these guys, you don't know what they're saying. You're like, I don't understand what you're talking about. He does it in an understandable way. And as he said, a head of broccoli, it's quite a simple food sitting there on the shelf. It's just a head of broccoli or a carrot. Then you've got the aisles where it's got a box and it's got high in protein and it's got low in fat and it's got colors that are, it's the graphic designer in me amazes me, because I'm like, oh, that's really nicely designed. That's clever marketing. I love marketing. I love design. So then you go, it's the kids. It's where things are placed in supermarkets. The consumers are it's so difficult to get through. I literally go to the fruit and veg and dairy aisle and then cupboard essentials and I'm gone. Because if I went down those aisles, I'd be like, oh, I want everything because it all looks so pretty. And then the kids, small kids, they're going, Mommy, can I have this? Can I have that? Even stuff that's targeted at kids, like these yogurt drinks and yogurt stuff, and it's high in calcium. And a lot of people just go, well, if it says it, it must be. And I did that for so long. And it's only that I have such an interest in food and packaging and marketing, in how things are grown or not grown, processed. But it's the boxes and the words and all of that. But you've got that little head of broccoli sitting on the shelf since it was ever existed going, I don't need any of that, because it is what it is. It is what it is. So try and avoid those jazzy boxes and packaging. And also, they're so expensive.
Yeah.
They really are.
You're talking about the supermarkets and you're talking about, you mentioned earlier on that that creamy pasta is your takeaway. But I'm just wondering, like, how do you get your family excited by home cooking and stuff when there's so much temptation around with fast food and eating out?
Of course we get takeaways. Of course I bring them to McDonald's the odd time, or they love the Supermax nuggets, or we'll get a cheeseburger, wherever. But it's all they've really known. I've always loved to cook. So now that's not to say my two kids will sit down and eat shepherd's pie. One will absolutely not. One will eat a chicken curry. The other has never had a chicken curry in her life. There's no mushy food. It has to be separate. So the way I work around that is, 3 of 4 will have the chicken curry, and she will then I just keep some chicken separate, pan fry that, and she'll have that with the rice and with veg that she likes. So I'm using the same
Yeah.
ingredients, but you're just cooking them a little bit differently. So I'm not sitting here saying I would love to be one of these mothers. And I saw one recently and she had about 4 kids and they all sat down to a big stew. No questions asked. I suppose it was a bit like my house growing up. There was 6 of us. So it was like, eat it or it's going to be eaten. We're probably worse as parents going, okay, you don't want that. Okay, we'll give you this. So my kids do, of course, we have takeaways. Then I get them and I feel crap afterwards. And I'm like, I want to know how to bake that myself, or you're just so thirsty because there's so much salt in them. Yeah, I mean, my kids are like every other kid. They'll say they don't like this or they don't like that. But it's like, well, tough. That's what's for dinner. You can have some brown bread.
Yeah, and I love what you said there about like, if you're making the curry, you just pan fry the chicken and give them the rice. Because I think everyone lists, like I'm exactly the same with my kids. Like some of my kids, my daughter, my husband absolutely love stew, but I just batch cook that. I give that to them. I have it in the freezer, and then maybe I'm having a stir fry with the other 2 kids, and maybe the other kid is having pasta. Like it doesn't really matter. I don't think you have, I think it's great to hear you say that it's not about your cooking. It's not about our cooking. It's actually just preference, isn't it?
Yeah, it is absolutely. And I mean, my 2 kids were brought up in the same house with the mother who cooked all the time, and one will not eat a chicken curry or anything mushy. If it's a lasagna, I'll keep a piece of mince, give her a burger. And they were raised in the same house. So it must be a texture thing. I don't know. I do find with kids now she didn't eat potatoes until she was about 9. I tried everything. No, because it was that texture. So then she started to play rugby and is now mad into it and now walks around the house eating a potato cold like an apple. So I do say to people, no, a cooked potato, a baked potato.
Jesus Christ,
and she'll just eat it. And I just saw her one day going, I worried so much about getting carbs into you. It'll come. And I say that to parents, like, don't be worrying. Try not to give them the sugary alternatives. And then if they're hungry enough, and sport and fresh air, get them outside running. Kids nowadays are stuck in on devices. And sometimes it can be easier for people to just give them the packet nuggets or whatever. I get that. Like, I'm a cook. My job is to cook all day. If I was working as a designer from 9 until 6 and came home, I'm not going to have the same time I had. But I would have to put it into a day like a Sunday and batch cook like you do, Lucy, and say that's in the freezer, So you just have to be really organized. I think it's the hardest time in history, and I'm not saying that lightly, to be a woman. We're working.
Why do you think that?
Because we couldn't wait to get out working, which is fair enough. But then we wanted to do everything. We can do it all, and we have to be perfect. And now we're working, we're raising kids. Look, let's call a spade a spade. We're doing all the housework. We're doing all the cooking. I mean, I don't know too many women whose husbands are at home making the dinner and cooking and cleaning the house and doing the laundry and seeing what needs to be done. So we're doing that as well. We don't have the help that they had years ago. Years ago, mum was at home and maybe the granny would move in and help. It takes a village, but not everybody has a village. And then there's this level of perfectionism online with your perfect, like, people online with their, oh my God, I can't believe I'm the same age as her. And I look 20 years older because they're perfect.
That is on us, because I used to be the same. And now my husband does a lot. Like, he does laundry, he does clean, and he does that. He didn't. But guess what? That was on me because I didn't ask for it, or because I thought, oh, he's not going to do it exactly how I like it done. So it's okay. I'll do everything. But I think when you get to a point where you're just, I know I got to a point where I was like, hang on a minute. Like, why am I doing all of this? Hell no. So now I have totally taken a step back, and he probably does more than me in the house because I feel like I've done my time. I've done my time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to get to that point. And also, I just don't think men get it. Like, they really are very simple creatures that you have to say, can you hoover the kitchen? But we don't do that. We'll stomp around the house in bad form for 3 days. And they're like, what is wrong with her?
What's wrong with her? Like, just ask me. But be okay when it's not done the way we want it. I think that's the most.
But it's hard to get to that point. I found that hard now. I'm getting there with, oh my God, there's 4 weeks of laundry that has to be done. And I have to just go, okay, it is not important today. I need to get this done today.
Yeah. You can only do what you can do.
Can only do so much. And I've learned saying no has been my superpower. I used to say yes. Are you coming into town tonight? The girls are all home. Yes. Whatever it may be. whatever. We all know these things that you're like, oh my God, I really don't want to do that. Why did I say I do that? And I just say, no, actually, I'm not. And it has become my superpower.
As you get older, like you're just like, no, I'm just saying yes to me. I'm not saying yes
Yeah.
to other people, please other people.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you that as well. So obviously, like we've been talking about, you're obviously the home cook extraordinaire. You're using all the raw ingredients. We were talking about, I'm just making sure I've covered everything. We're talking about batch cooking. We're talking about school lunch boxes. I suppose the only other thing I wanted to kind of ask you before we wrap up on the show is a little bit about, your presence online and on Instagram. We were chatting before you came on the show here today about like how difficult it can be sometimes with like, trolls in your inboxes. And you mentioned somebody was asking you to share an event and then they blanked you because you didn't. And I've had that where people just send you random posts with no text, like share this, share that. Tell us a little bit about the etiquette. So like, say there's people there who don't understand. They see you as an influencer and you're there at their service. Like, honestly, what's the etiquette around it? And what's it like to be an influencer on Instagram?
Well, I suppose this is my business. And, some people have pages as a hobby and they have a job besides, so that's fine. So I look at this as it is my business. I work with 3 brands. I could be working with 1,000 brands. I could be making so much money, Lucy. I could be selling so much stuff. But I'm like, no, I don't want to. I work with the brands I work with because I want to. I don't have to because I have my own books and they're my babies. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are, can you send me that recipe? I'm like, it's on my page. I can't find it. Can you send it to me? And that's fine if it's somebody who is a follower that would message you a lot, that is a good follower, or they might even the way they ask, Sarah, I'm so sorry, and there's no panic. That's fine. But it's people who have never liked anything, have never messaged you before, and they just send these random requests. The sharing GoFundMe pages, charity events and general events. I get why people do it. They look at me and go, she's got 240,000 followers. That's going to sell it out. It's not going to sell it out because my followers follow me for food and they're not going to be following me if every story is, this GoFundMe, this constant stuff. And it's hard because, people are sending you stuff with sick kids, with terminally ill people, but it's a business page and it's a food page. And if you do it for one, you will be bombarded. Yeah. I donate to fundraisers myself. I spend my time posting books to raffle prizes where they'll contact me. I'll say, look, I don't share, but I'll gladly donate books that you can do in a raffle. That's fine. I donate to charity myself. I don't say that because even if you did, someone would say, well, I wouldn't have donated now to that charity. I would have donated to this charity. So you just can't win.
No, you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. And I think what people need to understand, like I have a way smaller account than Sarah, but I still get that. And people think, I think that you nearly owe them something and you're there on the other side of your phone 24/7 waiting for messages. You're there ready to share everything that they send. But Sarah said, like, this is your business, like, and I don't think you owe your followers anything. You're there creating free content, like it's completely free. You're walking through the steps, you're sharing your tips, and I think people should really understand that there's a human on the other side of that. Like there's a real woman who has a family and who's all these other things going on. So just leave her alone. Okay? Leave her alone.
It's not even that. I mean, people who message me like that out of the blue, I'm like, okay, whatever, or somebody. And sometimes things they can come across quite differently in text. So somebody might say something in a message and it might come across quite rude. And if you tackle them on it, they might go, oh God, I didn't mean it that way. And that's fine. And in fairness, I don't get negativity on my page. You'll get some daft comments from random people in the world on certain posts. Like recently I said, a lazy day dinner, which was 5 minutes of chopping veg, marinate a bit of chicken and throw the whole lot in the oven with some rice and stock. And my gosh, the comments on that are so funny because it's like, that's not a lazy day dinner. What do you do on a day that you're not feeling lazy? And they were like, just put a pizza in the oven. Assuming majority were probably US people because it was all like down to just go get a takeaway, just go get a pizza. I'm like, well, wow, is that what's down the road for the rest of us? And then you had so many people going, this was amazing. It took me 10 minutes to get it in the oven. So it's not that I get negativity directly on my page. It's just you think, you know, it's like anyone who's out there watching this that works in the public, with the public on a day-to-day basis. I'm no different from somebody who's working in SuperValue or somebody who's working in a beautician's. I was in a beautician's there recently, and my jaw was on the floor with the level of rudeness that they have to put up with. Yeah. And again, it's this now. I want it now. So it's not just influencers or people online. But one thing that does annoy me with people who are online, it's like, well, you put yourself out there. I'm like, what does that mean? Just because I'm online, I'm allowed, we're all open to, oh, well, you can say what you want about them because they've put themselves out there. You know, that's like walking into an accountant's office and saying to somebody, I really don't like the colour of your hair and your voice is really annoying. And walking out and saying, well, you put yourself out there. It's just, but then I think anyone who works with the public will agree. It has just gone to another level of anger. And it's anger and it's a reflection on them. At the end of the day, just be nice, like Jesus, you know. Yeah. But a lot of people are angry and you just have to learn to not take it personally.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like you're in the game long enough now and you know who you are and what you're about.
I'd hate to be a 25-year-old makeup artist going online, setting up a page, or an 18-year-old who's into fashion, because they're just waiting to pounce. And I think anyone who shows that they work hard and are they're not afraid to be themselves, they're just easy pickings. So it's a horrible place. It's becoming more and more toxic.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, look, you just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an absolutely fantastic job. And thank you so much for all of your insights today. So many tips. Just before we finish up, Sarah, there's 2 questions I always ask our guests. The first one is, what does success, balance and happiness mean to you?
Success, happiness, balance. I suppose just being able to enjoy your life because, it's the balance, I suppose, as you said, to be able to balance all of those things. Because if you get too head on in your career, your family life is slipping, and it's using all 3 to enjoy your life, because there's so many people out there that are sick and that are going through really tough times. And I think when you have your health, we all think, oh, I'll do that when I'm retired. The way things are going and the stories you're seeing every day, it's like, I booked a holiday for next week because I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm not waiting till I'm 65. Come on, let's go, because you just don't know what's around the corner. So it's using what you love to do to make a living, but then to enjoy the money that you're making to enjoy your family.
Love that. And then finally, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice would probably be never give up. And also, you can do whatever you want to do, but you don't have to do something you don't want to do. My dad always said that. I remember one or two instances where I was like, I don't really want to do it, or I don't really want to go. And he used to say, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And it didn't really stick until I was older. And then I'd be in a situation going, I don't have to go to that, or, whatever. But then you can also do whatever you want to do. And I suppose on my page, I have such a fantastic community of people that I hate the word followers. Like, I still go, why do people follow me? I'm really not that exciting. But they are just fantastic. And every day, I'll get a little nugget from somebody, or they'll just say something. And, they're full of knowledge. The people that follow me are always so full of support and wisdom, and not a piece of advice, but on a day-to-day basis. The community on my page, they make me smile every day. I'll get messages and I do find myself smiling going, that's so lovely, because you do get to know a lot of them. So they'll always just give you that little bit of inspiration that you might not realize you needed, because ultimately we're all the same.
Yeah, never underestimate the power of sending a little message. Like, I love that as well. Like, you might just be just to say thanks or just to engage. It means the world.
Not even that, just even to say, Sarah, I'm thinking about cooking for the communion and there's 40 people and I'll talk them through it. And then afterwards getting that message going, oh my God, it was amazing. And everybody loved it. It's like, wait, you just want to be able to give them a hug, and you've never met this person in your life. So that all the time is just, that's energy, such great
Yeah,
energy.
I can see you're smiling. It's why you do what you do. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show. And where can people find you if they want to? I know we have your books. Where can we buy your books and where can we find you?
Instagram, I am at Sarah Butler at Home Official, and my website is Sarah Butler at Home. And they're my two spots. I'm on Facebook also, Sarah Butler, and I'm on TikTok, not so regularly, but Instagram is probably my best place.
Amazing. Well, listen, guys, we will link Sarah's details in the show notes. Sarah, thank you so much for being an amazing guest.
Lucy.
I can't wait to listen to this episode back.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.